Yo, what is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? So, we have gone back into one of the great shows, this circus. I am actually kind of baffled by this episode, just by the direction it's going and kind of how gritty it's getting in the sense of the main character being this big, lovable goof is really becoming something out of this world that I can't even tell right now, and it's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's understandable because not only is he fighting for himself in the sense of a disease that he can't cure or no one's figuring out a cure for that he has, he's also trying to save these new children that really take up most of his memory in the sense of only people he kind of recalls doing this pill and this whole like fighting and doing all this stuff for is these kids and just for people around the world who are suffering from the same disease. So to know that that's kind of his overall focus kind of makes it even harder to watch him just throwing his life away in the sense of hoping that whatever he does at the end of his breath that it helps these people and to then find out that everything he's done, everybody that sacrificed themselves, everybody that pretty much is waiting on him just had a huge waste of time happen and a lot of life be lost for a cause that really only got rid of four big players in the full scheme of things. Like, I mean, and if you can imagine, if Lady Francine has made the other Francine doll, that is what we pretty much find out from the doll itself, that she was created by the same woman that, he was trying to pretty much make this cure for, pretty much try to save, and to all of a sudden find out that you can't do anything to really stop you everything you just did and witnessed, you still can't stop anything with the information that you're getting that you're receiving, and then all of a sudden you're supposed to expect to be able to, you know, quote unquote live some type of life after all of this is said and done. It's like he kind of threw away that expectation of having a normal life. The one thing that really threw me off this week though was when all said is done, like we get our main character back up on his feet. He has all parts of different puppets pretty much attached to him, and they're all from, like the people who risked their lives and stuff like that in this fight. So the thing that really confuses me, uh, and I'm not sure if I had any manga readers, or maybe I did talk to someone who had read the manga, but with what we're seeing right now, it's super sketch because he has his limbs pretty much put together. All three of his limbs, anyway, get more animatronic parts, and after he goes in just wrecking house on these animatronics that have lived for 300 years and has perfected their moves and already were super strong at the beginning. But not to mention they then get 300 more years to perfect all of that stuff. So all of that being said and done, they then continue to just destroy and protect Lady Francine. And this man who has been practicing martial arts just goes in on them. And he said he has been practicing martial arts even longer than 300 years. So I guess that truly comes, like, that coincides again with him having all of the knowledge of the whole backstory of the brother and just what has happened to even lead up to this point. So that's another thing that's really kind of killed the heart of this main character. And not to mention, we still have a boy who's on the run, who's seemingly a huge part of all of this, in the sense of he kind of needs to be he needs to either be killed, he needs to either be adopted, or he somehow needs to figure out how to protect himself from these people who are trying to take him out. So with all that, we still haven't really learned where. I just got a triple perfect. Let's go. We still haven't learned what he's doing. The most we just learned is that Francine, or the girl that was traveling with the kid the whole time, could potentially be the reincarnation of Lady Francine, which is, I mean, it makes sense because of how she looks and all that stuff. And then, not to mention our Nagami and how he looks just like that guy from the past. I thought it was just coincidence on how he was viewing it, but definitely that's them. And if so, it just goes to show you that reincarnation probably in this anime is not far-fetched at all. Which comes to my conclusion of just how much that information truly changed our character. And that's why I picked Artorias from the Dark Souls series. Is he went in and he was one of the most noble knights of all time, and never really thought of ever straying against the path of what he was told by his leaders and stuff like that. So when he goes and actually fights for his people and goes and fights for the Abyss, he then becomes corrupted, and even though he's corrupted, he's still trying to fight for what's right. And I think him and the main character in this week's episode fit that bill so perfectly that it was just like a matchmaking. Oh god, it was a matchmaking heaven for me to pick this character at this time. So if anyone was wondering why I picked Artorias, that is why. But yeah, other than that, we also come to this weird conclusion that with him having all of this power and stuff, Nagami is just ridiculously broken. It goes through the craziest people that are supposed to be the strongest. And, you know, the two people that we saw that he goes through were proven to be relatively very strong, and we hadn't seen them, you know, even take any type of damage besides the bowing down to a fake imposter. But then, with them out of the picture now, it's weird to then see Nagami with what seemingly was his normal limbs. At the end of this week's episode, he had normal legs and his arms were normal, you know, like, sure, he was still in the clothes of the puppet that they pretty much fused him with, but in hindsight, or the arm that they fused him with, in hindsight, he should have had like a rolling leg, a weird pointy shoe foot, and a crazy arm, crazy mechanic looking arm. But I'm guessing maybe somehow because of his human body, or because of such control over it, he might be able to shrink it down to normal human size limbs, and then he just covered them with clothes. I'm not really sure, because even though he has those limbs and stuff, he didn't use them in the battle that we see in this at the end of this week. And after learning about the audience guy who's just been watching and sending out small little insect robots to watch all of these things taking place, we then learn that, or we don't learn, but we then see just Nagami has white hair and everything, but then when he meets up with her, his white hair is gone, those limbs are gone. So it's almost like they're saying he might have got surgery, or like he might have lost those pieces when he goes and visits him and wants maybe to become normal. Because from what I could tell, he was wearing clothes and looked relatively normal then too, but he still had silver hair. So where are all these things going, and why are all these changes happening? We don't know, but seeing him encounter wifey and straight up start threatening her and try to kill her and stuff. Oh man, I was ready to destroy him. I was ready to beat the crap out of that man. But that's only because he is in the right. Like, to think that his own memories might be the one thing that saved this show to continue. Like, if she is actually the reincarnation and her life is the reason why people are still getting sick, that's rough. That is really rough. And it would make sense and it wouldn't make sense. And the reason why it could make sense is because the anime is long and they can make sense out of it. They can keep putting more points pointing towards her being the reason than her not being the reason. But the reason why it doesn't work is because she's been with the kid for so long, not to mention put some of her own blood, which supposedly should have contained the disease, and gave it to him directly, like made him drink it, and he seemingly never showed any signs of having that disease. So to think that all of a sudden she's supposed to be the catalyst, the one that's, the carrier or the problem of all of this, doesn't seemingly make any sense to me for now. So if they are going to go that route, I just hope that they clear it up and make it very easy to agree with what may have to happen. But if so, I will be there recording and watching all of it because this show is absolutely nuts. Just the battle alone was enough for me to be just satisfied with this week's episode. But then to add more of him running into this girl that he completely forgot about and then almost taking her life, even making her bleed and not believing that her blood is even real, because I'm guessing when he takes out Lady Francine, that's when he sees probably the first time ever animatronic with blood, because he said synthesized blood. He's seen it before, like he's like, this isn't something that's impossible for you, so. And from what I can tell, we never saw any puppet die with blood. And when he takes out Lady Francine, it's in black and white, so you couldn't even tell. So that could have definitely been another huge psychological mishap with him. I mean, sure, he took out a puppet, but it probably felt like he took out, someone important at the same time that looked exactly like the girl he wanted to save. She literally made her, and now he still has to take out another one, supposedly, so 3 of them must die. And that's just the beginning of what we know of the story. So very, very interested to see what you guys are feeling on this show, if you're going to keep up with it like I am, or if you're just going to watch my reviews and hope that it keeps getting hype for me so I can keep getting excited about it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for the support. I am definitely going to be keeping up with it until it ends. It's like 30 episodes or something. We did 36 episodes, so we'll see where this goes. Mind you, the little bit of memory that he all of a sudden gains at the end of this episode was the main reason why she lives. But the messed up part is they're almost drawing him as the enemy of the final 2 characters, being the boy and her, when we know she seemingly should not be the reason why people still have this disease or whatnot. So great stuff. I love an anime that makes me think. I can't even think of where this is going, but that's what makes it so fun for me, is to have these thoughts, to be able to put together what the show itself is trying to convey, and still not being able to, because they're doing such a good job of hiding the real plot behind other subplots that are great. So yeah, everybody take care, and I will talk to you in the next one. I am the Anime G, and if you haven't supported the other video that I dropped, the Promised Neverland, please go give that a little bit of a like, or just a view. Just a view is fine by me. Thank you guys so much, even for clicking on these videos and I will talk to you in the next one. All right, peace.